Storytelling with Data, by Cole Nussbaumer Knaflic. Introduction. Have you ever sat in a meeting, staring at a slide so packed with charts and numbers that your eyes just glaze over? It's a rainbow of confusing bars, tangled lines, and maybe even a 3D pie chart that looks like it's about to fall off the screen. You know there's information there, but your brain just shuts down. It feels like work. And in that moment, the person presenting has lost you. The story, whatever it was, is gone. We've all been there. In fact, this experience is so common that it's become a running joke in the business world. But what if I told you that hidden inside every one of those confusing graphs is a powerful, simple story just waiting to be told? A story that could convince your boss, inspire your team, or even change the direction of a company. Today, we're diving into a book that has become the definitive guide for anyone who needs to communicate something to someone using data. It's called Storytelling with Data by Cole Nussbaumer Knaflic. This isn't just a book, it's a mission. Cole is a former analyst from Google, where she honed a unique talent for turning messy, complicated data into crisp, irrefutable stories. She saw so many bad graphs and presentations that she eventually left her job on what she calls a self-proclaimed mission to rid the world of bad PowerPoint slides. And she succeeded. This book has become a Bible in boardrooms, classrooms, and offices around the globe, empowering hundreds of thousands of people to get their voices heard. It's not for data scientists or design experts. It's for you. It's for the student presenting their thesis, the manager needing to make a data-driven point, the leader informing their board. By the end of our time together today, I promise you this: you will never look at a graph the same way again. You'll have a new lens, a new framework for seeing the story hidden in the numbers. You'll learn the 6 simple lessons that can transform you from someone who just shows data into someone who tells a powerful, memorable story with data. Let's begin. Book summary. The journey of mastering storytelling with data doesn't start where you think it would. It doesn't start with choosing a chart type, or picking colors, or even opening up your spreadsheet software. It starts with a question. In fact, it starts with 3 of them. Who are you talking to? What do you need them to know or do? And how can you use data to make your point? This simple, foundational idea is what the author calls understanding the context. It's the most important, and most often skipped, step in the entire process. We get so excited about the data we've collected and the analysis we've done that we just want to show everything, as if to prove how much work we did. But this, she warns, is like a pearl diver who finds 2 beautiful pearls after opening 100 oysters, and then decides to dump all 100 oyster shells on your desk. It's overwhelming. It's confusing. And it completely hides the pearls. Our job isn't to show our work, it's to show the pearls. And to do that, we have to be ruthlessly clear about our audience and our message before we even think about a visual. Let's make this real. The book gives a wonderful example. Imagine you're a 4th grade science teacher. You've just run a pilot summer program to get kids excited about science, a subject many of them find intimidating. You surveyed the kids before and after the program, and you believe the data shows a huge success. Now, you need funding to continue the program. Who is your audience? Is it the parents? The other teachers? The kids themselves? No. In this case, your audience is the budget committee. They hold the purse strings. And what do you need them to do? You need them to approve your budget request. You need them to believe in the program's success and give you the money to keep it going. Suddenly, the story becomes crystal clear. Your message isn't just "here's some survey data." Your message is, "the pilot program was a success, and we need you to approve our budget so we can continue to change how kids feel about science." That clarity is everything. It's your compass. It guides every decision you'll make from this point forward. The author suggests boiling this down into what she calls the big idea, a single, complete sentence that articulates your unique point of view and what's at stake. For our science teacher, it might be, "The pilot summer learning program successfully improved students' perceptions of science, and because of this success, we recommend continuing to offer it. Please approve our budget for this program. Once you have that compass, and only then, can you turn to the next question: how do you bring that story to life visually? This brings us to the toolbox. When we think of data visualization, our minds immediately jump to graphs. But the author reminds us that sometimes, the most effective visual isn't a graph at all. When you only have one or two numbers to share, the most powerful thing you can do is just show the numbers. Boldly, simply. Imagine a slide that says, 20% of children had a stay-at-home mom in 2012, compared to 41% in 1970. That simple text is far more impactful than burying those two numbers in a clunky bar chart. Of course, when you have more data, you'll need a table or a graph. Tables are great when your audience needs to look up specific numbers, but they're terrible in a live presentation. Why? Because the moment you put up a dense table, your audience stops listening to you. They start reading, and you've lost their attention. This is where graphs come in. A well-designed graph is processed by our visual system, which is much faster than the verbal system we use to read a table. And the good news is, you don't need 100 different types of charts. A handful will do the job for almost everything you need. The author identifies a dozen she uses most often, but the real workhorses are simple lines and bars. Line graphs are perfect for showing continuous data, usually over time. Bar charts are the go-to for categorical data, comparing different groups. They are common, and that's a good thing. It means your audience already knows how to read them, so they can focus on the message, not on deciphering the chart. But with the simple power of a bar chart comes a simple, unbreakable rule. Your bars must always start at a zero baseline. The author shares a stunning example from a news broadcast about tax cuts. The chart showed a tax rate of 35% next to a new rate of 39.6%. But because the vertical axis started at 34%, the second bar looked monumentally taller, creating a visual exaggeration of a 460% increase, when the actual increase was only 13%. It's a classic way to mislead with data, intentionally or not. And once your audience spots it, your credibility is gone. While she champions the bar chart, there is one popular chart type she despises with a passion: the pie chart. She calls them, simply, evil, and she has a point. Our brains are terrible at accurately judging angles and areas. It's nearly impossible to tell which slice is bigger if they are close in size. She shows a 3D tilted pie chart where the slice labeled 31% looks significantly larger than the slice labeled 34%, all due to the distorting perspective. It's a visual lie. Her solution? Almost always, a simple horizontal bar chart, sorted from greatest to least, will tell the story more clearly and honestly. With bars, our eyes just have to compare the endpoints along a straight line, a task we are naturally good at. You lose the part-to-whole idea, but you gain clarity, and clarity is king. So, you've understood your context, you've chosen an effective visual, and you've avoided the evil pie chart. Now comes the part that feels like magic. It's the art of subtraction. The author introduces a powerful concept called cognitive load. Every single element you place on a page, every line, every label, every color, takes up a tiny bit of your audience's brain power to process. Clutter is the enemy of understanding because it increases this cognitive load for no reason. These are the visual elements that take up space but don't add any real information. They are noise. Our goal is to eliminate the noise so the signal, the story, can shine through. To do this, she introduces us to a few secret weapons from the world of design, the Gestalt principles of visual perception. These sound complicated, but they are incredibly intuitive rules about how our brains automatically find patterns. The principle of proximity, for example, says that we see objects that are close together as a group. So, instead of using a legend far away from your graph, why not place the labels right next to the data they describe? This small change eliminates the mental work of looking back and forth. The principle of similarity says we see things that share color, shape, or size as related. This is why you should use the same color for your data line and its label. It's a quiet signal to your audience that says, these things belong together. The principle of closure says our brains like to complete shapes. We see a circle even if it's made of dashed lines. This means you can get rid of all those heavy chart borders and background shading. Your audience's brain will still see the graph as a single, cohesive unit, but now the data itself will stand out more. Let's see this in action. The book provides a fantastic step-by-step makeover of a cluttered line graph showing ticket volume received versus ticket volume processed. The original is a mess. It has a heavy border, dark grid lines, unnecessary data markers on every single point, ugly diagonal text on the x-axis, and trailing zeros on the y-axis labels. It's a textbook example of what happens when we let our software make our design choices for us. Here's the decluttering process, step by step. 1. Remove the chart border. It's not needed. Let white space frame your visual. 2. Remove the grid lines. They compete with the data. If you must have them, make them very light gray. But if you can, get rid of them completely. 3. Remove the data markers. Each little diamond and square adds to the cognitive load. The lines themselves already show the data. 4. Clean up the axis labels. Get rid of those pointless .00 decimals and rotate the month labels to be horizontal. 5. Label the data directly. Ditch the legend at the bottom and place the words received and processed right next to the lines they represent. Use color to link them. With just these few steps, the graph is transformed. It's clean, it's light, and it's finally readable. But we're not done. We've cleared the stage. Now, it's time to direct the spotlight. This is where we learn to control our audience's attention. The author explains that our iconic memory, the super-fast, subconscious part of our visual system, is hardwired to pick up on what are called pre-attentive attributes. These are things like color, size, and position on the page. When used strategically, they're like a secret signal to your audience's brain, telling them exactly where to look before they even know they're looking. To prove this, she gives a simple test. Imagine a block of numbers, all gray. I ask you to count how many times you see the number 3. It's a slow, painful process of scanning line by line. Now, imagine the same block of numbers, but this time, every 3 is bold and black. You don't have to search. The 6 3s instantly pop out. Your brain sees them before you've even consciously started to look. That is the power of a pre-attentive attribute. So how do we use this? The key is to use these attributes sparingly. Color is the most powerful tool we have, but if you use 10 different colors, nothing stands out. It's like trying to spot a hawk in a sky full of exotic birds. It's just a confusing mess. But if you spot a hawk in a sky full of pigeons, it's easy. The author's signature style is to design her visuals almost entirely in shades of gray, and then use a single, strong color, like blue, to highlight the one and only thing she wants you to see first. This creates a crystal clear visual hierarchy. The gray elements are there for context, but they fade into the background. The blue elements are the story. Let's go back to our ticket volume graph. After decluttering, we had 2 clean lines. Now, let's push them both to the background by making them light gray. The story we want to tell is about the gap that forms between tickets received and tickets processed after 2 employees quit in May. So, we make the process line a bold blue and the received line a dark gray. We add numeric labels to only the last few months, where the gap is growing. And then we add a simple line of text above the graph. Please approve the hire of 2 FTEs, and an annotation pointing to May. 2 employees quit in May. We haven't been able to catch up since. Now the graph isn't just data. It's an argument. It's a request. It has a point. It's telling a story. This leads us to the final and most important piece of the puzzle: embracing the full power of story itself. Data and facts alone are not enough to inspire action. As the author beautifully explains, stories resonate and stick with us in a way that data alone cannot. A story has a clear beginning, middle, and end. And so should our presentations. The beginning is the plot. It's where you set the stage, introduce the problem, and create what Nancy Duarte calls the tension between what is and what could be. This is where you grab your audience's attention by framing the problem in terms that matter to them. The middle is where you build your case. This is where you show the data, give the examples, and walk your audience through your analysis. This is where you address the how and the why. You're resolving the tension you created at the beginning, showing the path from the problem to the potential solution. And the end is your call to action. It's the resolution. You must be explicit. What, exactly, do you want your audience to do now that they have this new understanding? The book culminates in a masterful walkthrough that pulls every single one of these lessons together. It starts with a cluttered rainbow-colored bar chart showing the average retail price of 5 different products over 7 years. It's impossible to see any trends. First, context. The story is for a VP of product who needs to decide on a price for a new product. The goal is to recommend a competitive price range. Second, choose an effective visual. The bar chart is replaced with a line graph to better show the trend over time. Third, eliminate clutter. The chart border, grid lines, and legend are all removed. The lines are labeled directly. The axes are softened to gray. Fourth, focus attention. Gray is used for all lines, pushing them to the background. And finally, tell a story. The author builds the graph, piece by piece, across a series of slides, with a clear narrative. Slide 1. She introduces the 2 dominant products, A and B, showing their high price points. The beginning. Slide 2. She introduces product C, which entered the market at a much lower price. Then she uses color to highlight how the prices of A and B began to fall in response. The conflict. Slide 3. She shows products D and E entering, also at lower price points, and how eventually, all the prices start to converge. The rising action. Slide 4. She highlights the final price points for all products, showing the current average and a recommended range. The climax. Slide 5. The final slide is a simple, bold recommendation. To be competitive, we recommend introducing our product below the $223 average price point in the $150, $200 range. The call to action. Look at the journey we just took. We went from a graph that showed data to a presentation that told a story. It had a plot, it had tension, and it had a clear resolution. Every element was intentional, designed to guide the audience to a specific conclusion. That is the difference between showing data and storytelling with data. It's the difference between confusion and clarity, between inaction and action. And it's a skill that anyone, with these lessons, can learn. Commentary. As we wrap up, I want to take a moment to reflect on why this book is so profoundly important, especially right now. We live in a world that is drowning in data. We have more numbers, more metrics, more dashboards than ever before. But information is not the same as understanding. And data is not the same as a decision. The great myth of the information age is that if we just give people enough data, they will make the right choice. But that's not how human beings work. We are not rational creatures who make decisions based on spreadsheets. We are emotional, story-driven creatures who are moved by narrative, by context, and by meaning. What Cole Nussbaumer Knaflic has done in storytelling with data is bridge that gap. She's given us a practical, compassionate, and incredibly clear guide to turning the cold, hard facts of data into the warm, compelling power of a human story. This book isn't just about making prettier charts. It's about learning a new language. It's about empathy, about putting yourself in your audience's shoes and asking, what do they need to see? How can I make this as easy and clear for them as possible? The most powerful lesson for me is the idea that simplicity and clarity are an act of respect for your audience. When you take the time to remove clutter, to focus attention, and to build a narrative, you are honoring their time and their intelligence. You are doing the hard work so they don't have to. And in return, they give you the most valuable thing they have, their attention. So, how can you start putting this into practice today? You don't need to overhaul everything at once. Start small. First, the next time you create any communication with data, a single chart, a slide, an email, stop and ask yourself those 3 fundamental questions. Who is my audience? What do I need them to know or do? And what's the big idea in a single sentence? Just doing this one thing will bring incredible focus to your work. Second, pick one graph you've made recently and give it the decluttering treatment. Can you remove the border? The grid lines? Can you soften the colors of your axes? See how much lighter and clearer it feels when you strip away just a few unnecessary elements? And third, embrace the power of gray. The next time you build a visual, try making everything gray first. Then, ask yourself, what is the single most important thing I want my audience to see? Make only that one thing a bold, strategic color. You will be amazed at how this simple technique instantly creates focus and tells a story. Ultimately, this book is about more than data. It's about communication. It's about influence. And it's about leadership. In a world where anyone can make a chart, the person who can tell a story with that chart is the one who will be heard. They are the one who will drive change. This book gives you the tools to become that person. That was a summary of Storytelling with Data by Cole Nussbaumer Knaflic. We've covered the core lessons today, but I'll be perfectly honest with you, a summary can only ever be a map. The real treasure is found when you explore the territory yourself. The true value of this book is in its rich examples, its thoughtful walkthroughs, and the way its principles begin to change how you see the world. This summary is your starting point, a way to know if this journey is right for you. If anything we've discussed today has sparked your curiosity or made you think differently, I encourage you to pick up a copy. Reading it isn't just about learning a skill, it's about adopting a new mindset that can genuinely elevate the way you communicate and the impact you have in your work and your life. The link to the book is in the description below. Also, if you found this journey valuable, I'd be grateful if you could take a moment to click the like button and subscribe to the channel. That way, you won't miss our next deep dive into another transformative book from the billionaire's bookshelf. Let's continue to learn and grow together.